continuing on with my April Fool's Day celebration of classic Spongebob episodes, we have Pranks a Lot from Season 3. And before I get into the review, let me just say that the detail and time that went into making this title card is amazing. It's like, this is a Spongebob title card. Like, think back to the Scroll Jokes one I just did, and it was just like a bunch of bricks with a spotlight on them, and compare it to this. This really needs to be spotlighted itself, and I commend the creators of SpongeBob for going out of their way to give us something like this. It is really nice to look at, and it even makes me want to give extra credit just for this alone, but unfortunately that's not one of the categories, and I cannot just judge an episode based on the title card. Just like don't judge a book by its cover, don't judge a SpongeBob episode by its title card. Anyways, if you haven't seen my other videos, I will run down the 7 categories once again, and they're all worth 10 points originally, but they can get extra credit and even negative credit. Number 1, how long the episode took to make me laugh. Every 30 seconds I will take 1 point away. Number 2, how many times did it make me laugh. Number 3, memorability, as in how many quotes, moments, and jokes I can remember off the top of my head. There is no limit to extra credit points, guys. Keep that in mind. Or negative credit as well. Number 4, is there a good message that's executed well? Number 5, is there character development or moments that make a character multi-dimensional? Number 4 and 5 should become pretty self-explanatory with my examples in time. Number 6, does the episode stay consistently entertaining throughout? Slow starts or bad payoffs hurt the point count. And number 7, does it misuse a character and just has them in there to take punishment or make people laugh due to this character's misery? In terms of the classic SpongeBob, Squidward, and Plankton are prime examples of this. Now, I always start off with memorability first, and this might become what you guys see as an April Fool's joke in and of itself, but I hope you are still willing to take this seriously after this, because well, you'll see in just a few minutes, quote unquote a few minutes, because number one, my number one moment that came to mind when I remembered the episode was the fake gag dollar bit. You know, where SpongeBob's friend Frank is like, all I have is, well, first, what I have is this fake gag dollar. Fool your friends into thinking you have a real, regular dollar. And, you know, SpongeBob's like, nah, I'll pass. And I always thought SpongeBob should have tried that, because he definitely could have fooled Mr. Krabs with it. Like, imagine if he used that gag dollar at the end of the episode against Mr. Krabs. He probably could have saved him and Patrick some embarrassment. Number 2 is at the beginning of the episode, Trice. Patrick's like, oh boy, Cinnamon Brittle, and then he gets pranked by the snakes in a can gag. Number 3 is the exploding chewing gum, where Frank gives Patrick the gum and it blows Patrick's upper body up, and Frank is like, huh, how do you like that, exploding chewing gum? And then it goes to Patrick, and all you can see is like his entire upper half of his body has been blown to smithereens, with the exception of like a bone sticking up, and he's like, I don't get it. Number 4 is, let me see, oh, at the end, SpongeBob's like, Patrick, we should have bought the whoopee cushion, and, you know, fade to black. Number 5 is SpongeBob and Patrick, of course, scaring the entire town by pretending to be ghosts. You know, like Scribble's like, ghost! And Mrs. Spoff is like, ghost! And you're like, ghost! 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 Toast. Speaking of which, number 6 is ghost! Ghost! Toast. And also speaking of which, number 7 is Mrs. Puff going, ghost! And deflating around the room Number 8 is the newspaper saying Mr. Krabs ain't afraid of ghosts, and he's the last guy that they have to scare in the Bikini Bottom. Number 9 is the tow bus driver. He's like, and on your right, if you look, you'll see 2 naked guys fighting over a can of paint. And SpongeBob's like, ah, quick, help me, Patrick, help me find my our clothes. Let's see. Number 10 is when they go up to the guy, and they're like, they ask him what time it is, and he can't see them, so he thinks they're ghosts, and he runs away while his eyeballs fall out of his eyes and start driving the boatmobile. And Patrick's like, then over that guy and his driving eyeballs. Speaking of which, that's my number 11 moment. Number 12 is SpongeBob and Patrick replacing the windows with rubber, clogging all the toilets, and gluing the door shut. It's just they went through so much trouble just to prank Mr. Krabs. It was hilarious. It's like they went into so much detail with their prank on Mr. Krabs, about as much as the detail on this title card. So yeah, of course I'm gonna remember that, and it deserves its spot as the number 12 moment I can remember. Number 13, on the opposite end, is Mr. Krabs doing everything he can to avoid the ghost attack and saying he's not afraid of ghosts. Like, he has the Spectro Deflecto and a bunch of other good luck charms to keep ghosts away, which of course they ultimately fell because he's not going up against ghosts, he's going up against SpongeBob and Patrick. Number 14 is SpongeBob's plan to spray the park bench and float in midair, and he has that imagination moment where he sees him and Patrick sitting on the park bench that's now invisible, and all the fish are like, they're floating in midair! How do they do that? Let's see, number 15, I gotta go to the next page, sorry, is at the end when Mr. Krabs turns the tables on SpongeBob and Patrick, and he's like, the Krusty Krab presents live nude pranksters starring the Bikini Bottom Ghost, and everyone, like all their friends and the people they pranked, cheer them on as they try to hide their nakedness and not die from embarrassment. Number 16 is Mr. Krabs throwing water at them and causing the spray to wash off. When they're just like, you're going to pay, Krabs. No, please, Spirit, pay. No. Ooh, SpongeBob we're visible again. Ah! So yeah, that is number 16. Number 17, of course, is you're going to pay, Krabs. Pay! And he tries to set the dollar on fire. Number 18 is Mr. Krabs telling them that he pulled his share of pranks in his day and that he'll let them off the hook without telling anyone, and then he ends up telling the entire town, and he humiliates them in front of it. Number 19 is Frank at the beginning trying to sell them fake vomit, but SpongeBob doesn't want it, so he's like, real vomit? Ew! Number 20 is when Frank meets Patrick. He's like, well, pleasure to meet you, Patrick. And he reaches out his hand, and Patrick shakes it, and he's like, ah! But because it turns out there was a joy buzzer on Patrick, a joy buzzer on his hand that Patrick touched. So, finally, that ends memorability, and that is 20 points, because I remember 20 moments, quotes, jokes. So already, thanks to memorability, this episode already has like a double perfect score so far. So even if it has one bad category where it gets 0 out of 10, this double score, if you will make sure it can get a perfect score. So number 3, memorability, gets 20. out of 10. And then now we move on to number 1, how long the episode took to make me laugh. I timed it, and it was 33 seconds in, so I had to take a point off. And it was when Patrick thinks that he's gonna get seen at Puerto, and it turns out there is no scene at Puerto, and he's all, "Seen at Puerto?" So, yeah, as I said before, 9 out of 10 because it was 33 seconds in. Number 2, how many times did the episode make me laugh? I counted, and okay. Hopefully you guys still take this seriously after this, but this episode out of 10 times originally made me laugh 43 times. This is not an April Fool's Day joke. I laughed 43 times total, and as a result I have no choice but to give category 2 a 43 out of 10. I know this sounds like an April Fool's Day joke, guys, but it isn't. Number 4, is there a good message that's executed well? Yes, and it is saying be careful pranking people, because they'll come back at you as if it was their mission to get back at you. Like, they'll come back at you 10-fold or 100 times over. So just be careful, especially on April Fool's Day of all days, because people will definitely want to get back at you. And if you celebrate Halloween, then that might be the particular date they have set to really get you back. So just be careful. So as a result, number 4 gets a 10 out of 10. Number 5, is there character development or moments that make a character multi-dimensional? And yes, surprisingly for this episode, even though it was like highly based on jokes, there is one moment from Patrick where he actually shows he can be smart at times, and it's when he takes off his pants. I know you guys are like, what the hell, dude? How does that make someone smart? But you know, it's when he says, he takes off his pants and he says, well, that spray stains clothes, right? Because they were gonna sit on the park bench. Like, yeah, that actually makes sense. Just, you know, maybe, you know, go home, take off your clothes, and then spray yourself with the invisible spray. But given the fact that Patrick did have a good idea there, and it was just executed poorly, I am going to give category 5 a 5 out of 10. So there we go. Number 6, does the episode stay consistently entertaining throughout? And well, I don't even need to say it. I laughed 43 times in an 12 minute period. Like, if that does not count as staying consistently entertaining throughout, I don't know what does. So if I could give extra credit for category 6, I would. It's just, you know, it's not really the type of category that you would give extra credit to, at least if you're trying to keep things, you know, if you're trying to do normal means and there's context. So number 6, I am gonna give a 10 out of 10. And finally, number 7, does it misuse a character and just has them in there to take punishment or make people laugh due to this character's misery? And kind of, SpongeBob and Patrick were humiliated in the end, but it was meant to teach us, at least the audience, a lesson, even though, like, things didn't really end up well for SpongeBob and Patrick at the end there. So, since it was meant to teach a lesson, and it was executed well, I'll give it a 7 out of 10, even though, you know, SpongeBob and Patrick, they had to learn the lesson the hard way. So, with that being said, let's recap. Okay, so, I gotta work on my penmanship, I'm sorry. Number 1, how long did the episode take to make me laugh? It was like 33 seconds, that's a 9 out of 10. how many times did it make me laugh? 43 out of 10. That is the most times an episode has made me laugh so far. So yeah, it's definitely in the running for first place, I'd say. Number 3, memorability. I remember 20 things off the top of my head without rewatching the episode. That gets a 20 out of 10. Number 4, is there a good message that is executed well? Yes, 10 out of 10. Number 5, is there character development or moments that make a character multidimensional? Kind of, because of Patrick being smart in theory but stupid in execution, so 5 out of 10. 6, does the episode stay consistently entertaining? I don't even have to argue about that with myself. 10 out of 10. Number 7, does it misuse characters for punishment or for a cheap laugh? No. Well, kind of, so I'm giving it a 7 out of 10. And so, if you calculate all of that together, it comes out to... Hang on, guys. Where did I put it? Did I not write down the dang point tally? Yeah, I forgot to write down the point tally, but I remember the calculations. I wrote down the calculations at least, and well, it came out to 148%. I'm not kidding, guys. It's not an April Fool's Day joke. It's 148%. That is like, what, like an A++++, something like that. So I think it goes without saying that so far in the 5 episodes I've reviewed, it is currently standing at number 1, and it's going to be extremely tough for any episode, even for classic Spongebob, to beat. So with that being said, it is time I moved on to the 3rd and final episode I watched this week. And given that it is April Fool's Day, I'm sure you already figured out which one it is. And I will be back soon to review it and show you guys if Fools in April managed to actually beat Pranks a Lot. So until then, take care, guys.